All righty. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Testing one, two, three. Give me a minute, y'all. Okay, so we are live on Facebook.
All right, all right.
Live, y'all.
Happy Sunday.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday.
Hello.
Yes. Okay, so there's a bit of a delay, but we're okay. So, welcome everyone to Cousins Corner again. My name is Tamar Bibbs, and I specialize in life and health insurance, and I focus on estate planning with my clients. And I also have with me, introduce,
Janelle.
Janelle Lee, cousin Janelle Lee. I
and
was busy sharing.
no worries. Good, thank you. Yes, we want to share. And then
I am and I'm Michelle Ford. I'm with Senior Life Insurance and I specialize in life insurance for 0 to 85.
all right. So we have been really focusing on talking to our friends and
Life insurance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
about the importance of having life insurance, about the importance of making sure that we do everything we can to encourage our friends and family to really think about making sure that they're covered. And so tonight we are going to be discussing counting the cost, y'all. What does it cost? How much does it cost? So tonight we're going to be discussing how much does it cost for a traditional funeral versus cremation? How much does it cost not to have insurance? And what the average cost of insurance is per month, because it is affordable, right? And that's what we want people to know. So, ladies, I'm going to ask you all, how much do you think an average funeral costs?
Okay, go ahead. Michelle, like she was going to say.
No, I was just saying, wow. Yeah, average cost, that's a good question. Generally people say, I hear around 10 to $12,000, but of course cost is really rising. And even at 10 to $12,000, it's almost hard to actually find that point. If you was to walk into a funeral home and be able and ask for that service, that would be tough to squeeze. It would be a tough squeeze. So I don't know. I would say around, if I was saying cut without cutting corners, I'd say around $16,000.
Okay, okay, that's a good number. All right. So,
Yes.
Janelle, what's your thoughts?
I would say anywhere from 12 to 15. And that's just your average funeral, nothing over the top, just your basic needs.
Okay. All right. So, the interesting thing is the average cost for a funeral can be anywhere between eight to $10,000. Like you said, that is your base level funeral, no extra accoutrements, right? No extra, that's just your basic level funeral. And so I think it's really important that people understand that most people don't have eight to $10,000 laying around to bury their family and friends and loved ones, right? So when we talk about this, let's talk about why it's important to have final expense insurance and how that helps to cover the cost of that large bill that you guys just talked about, between 12,000 to $16,000.
Absolutely. And like you said, Tammy, most people don't have that 12,000 sitting around, not for a funeral.
Right.
because truly you are just putting money in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's just the truth.
Right.
But how elaborate do you want to be put in the ground?
Mm-hmm.
And we were having a conversation the other day, and you made a point that that may be the only piece of land that most people even own. So if they're just now purchasing it up on death, or
Mm.
their family is purchasing up on death, that 12,000, we know they don't have that 12,000, 8,000 sitting around. We know that.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm good," but the truth is, let's just be honest. People don't have it,
Right.
especially in
Right.
this economy.
Right. And not only that, even some that do say they have it, they may actually have the funds available at that moment. However, since we do not know when you will need your funds, let's just say, for instance, your job said, I'm cutting everybody, and you're the main breadwinner in the home. So the
Mm.
first thing you're going to do is you're going to use that available money that you said was going to be put aside. If you had to bury somebody, you have that money. You're going to start pulling from there, and then not knowing when you're going, when you would either get a job or be called back to work. You don't know how much money you would have pulled from your reserve before if something was to happen.
Right. And I would imagine that is reserved. Most people call it an emergency fund.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
emergency fund, a lot of people right now with the government shutdown have pulled from the emergency fund.
Yeah.
Yes. You are so right. There, I've talked to a couple of people who are trying to find other options with their 401k. How so to your point, most people do not have that amount of money sitting around to be able to bury a loved one, let alone if it's two at a time or three at a time.
Hmm.
And because we know that one
Yeah.
accident can take a whole family.
Oh, yes.
And has.
And so when we talk about the importance of having insurance and the benefits of having insurance and what it can be for so many people, right? It could be your own bank. A lot of people don't realize that having life insurance can literally be your own bank. A lot of people don't realize that having insurance um, is just that. I had a conversation with my son the other night, and I told him, I said, how much do you think you're worth? And
Mm.
he had to think about that. I said, a lot of times we don't even know how to place the value of ourselves against something else. We're
Hmm.
so used to being, um, we insure our cars, we insure our homes, we insure our everything else,
Our
but
phones.
we see the value of our own self to put insurance against our own self. And so when we talk about the very end, right? Because some people may never get insurance until it's later on in life, and that's okay. But when we know that we have to die and we know that there is a cost, and we say that we love our family, why would we put that cost on them when we can take care of it now? Let's talk about that.
Mm.
Absolutely.
I want us to start being selfless in the fact that we want to think about those who are going to be left here and they're going to have to carry that load. So let's talk about that.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Procrastination. Procrastinating, just assuming that nothing's gonna happen. I'm young or I'm healthy. Uh, you know, but I mean, healthy and young doesn't,
It's going to happen. Oh,
it's not going to change. It's not going to change when and if, because it is going to happen no matter what. So, I don't know. Understanding that the cost is the cost. We have to just not procrastinate and realize that it's my responsibility. I'm responsible for me, not
mm-hmm.
my family, not my friends, not GoFundMe, and the neighborhood fish fry.
That part.
Yes. Well, when we say we love, love is an action word.
Mm. Yes, it
So let's put it into action. And in our community, Tammy, we're just not used to everybody getting life insurance. Now we're
Mm,
just starting to come around, but we're almost like the first generation of people really starting to plan ahead of time and say, let's have a life insurance policy in place for myself, not my mom have it, but we're going
Mm-hmm.
to be adulting and take care of ourselves,
Right.
and teach our children to do the same thing so that when someone dies, we don't have to grieve twice.
right.
Oh,
Grieve the fact that now I'm further in debt. We all scraping. We can't even grieve because we're trying to collect money. I mean, I'm angry at this point, and
right.
most people are angry when they get to funerals. But you know what? It'll be a whole different thing to get to the funeral and know that someone has left an inheritance to you,
Mm-hmm.
or the fact that you can just go to the funeral, go and grieve and enjoy the nice party or nice life celebration that they have done for themselves. Easily pick things out without stressing over whether or not who has money and who doesn't. The
Right.
Hmm.
same people, the same family member. And everybody know they got a family member that never gonna help. I don't have it. It's always the same one that they don't realize that everybody doesn't have it. I don't care how much money you have. Nobody wants to put 12,000 again in the ground.
In the
We just
ground.
don't. I already got myself to worry with and my immediate children.
Right.
So yeah, let's just start showing love in action.
Absolutely. I liked last week when we talked about, this is what we call the death season. The holiday season tends to be a higher rate. Your funeral home directors can tell you that they tend to have more deaths during November, December, and January.
Mm-hmm.
And, possibly because a lot of it is drinking and driving, or confrontations with family members. You hear a lot about shootings, family disputes, at holiday times. So it is a high time that funeral homes are very busy at this time of the year.
And loneliness.
And yeah, and loneliness, that's a good one, that's a very
Mhm.
good one. But what my point was, is having a gift. It's the season of giving, the season of being thankful. So, do something nice for your family member. And hey, they don't have money for a policy, gift them with a policy.
It-
Gift
that,
the older person or an older family member with a policy.
yes.
Can you
Yes.
imagine the look on most people's faces that you got a life insurance policy instead of Christmas, another set of Uggs or another bag or a purse that you can't take with you. It's
Right.
not going to do anything on that day that we don't untimely day that we have no
Mm.
idea. It may A lot of us may not even make it into 2026.
Yeah,
Because the
so
resale
true.
value on Uggs after you didn't wear them is zero. The resale value on that purse, you may be able to get something back off of it, but you're not going to be able to get as much, especially if we're talking about counting the cost. Most people put those things on a credit card, and the
Hmm.
interest alone on those credit cards is going to eat up. So when we look at value, right? Because that's what we're going to be, that's what I want people to understand. And that's my question to everyone who will listen to this. How much are you worth? What is your true value? I'm not talking about your education. I'm not talking about your house, your cars. I'm talking about how much do you value yourself? And then how much do you value and love your loved ones enough to not leave them with that burden when, like you said, when it happens? Because some of us are not going to make it to 2026. Some of us may not make it till tomorrow.
That's true.
There's folk who are waking up dead that never woke up dead before.
True.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying, like it's
It's
Right.
life. It's
so.
life. You
You
got to
don't get to
laugh
do it
about it.
twice.
So when we think about that, right? Um, and how much it costs to not have insurance. Now we're talking about the fact that, like you said, most policies, right? Especially when we're talking about final expense, whole life, or term life, is going to be based on your age, right? And we know that the older you get, the more expensive it's going to be. And we know that the more expensive it is, you also have to consider health conditions and things like that. With final expense, you're getting insurance specifically towards the expectation of your funeral, but then you can also use that money for other things, right?
Absolutely.
Which is what we talked about last week, the difference between a burial policy and a final expense policy. So let's talk about, on average, how much it costs per month for
Mm.
a final expense policy.
Okay.
That's going to depend on, like you said, a policy will depend on your age and your health.
Mm-hmm.
So the younger you are, generally you're healthier.
Right.
You haven't, blood pressure and sugar diabetes hadn't kicked in. But since, a lot of our, ancestors, we've kind of developed, you're going to have it if you don't start eating right and exercising right. And even then, it's still, you're going to get ailments and get older. It's just going to happen. So it's going to cost you more. But on an average, if you were young and you said, "Hey, I'm going to get my children their policies, they could be riders." I get a policy on myself. I'm in my young 20s or late 20s, whatever. I'll say probably around 30 something dollars a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then the riders can ride for a few dollars more,
Yeah.
$4 to $5 more. So that's nothing. And as long as you continue to pay, you're not going to lose that policy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you can have that policy at a really low rate, but the older you are, now that you have those ailments, mm, you might be paying maybe $50, $60, but it's still going to be less than the struggle of, your family members coming up with a lump sum, struggling to get that
Right. At one
while you're
time.
right at one time while you're in the refrigerator until they get enough money. So, it
Well,
is.
one thing I was going to say,
Literally.
add to what you were saying, Michelle, was not only does health play a part, but also there are some things that we can control too, as in our weight.
Mm.
Uh, I Lord knows I hate exercising, but exercising and keeping our weight down actually plays a big part. So if
Yes.
I come in there a little extra fluffy and I'm expecting to get, something that when you were lean and green, now I'm not. You just have to realize that there are some things we can control.
Yeah.
So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
within my BMI and I'm watching my weight, for one, it not only does it curtail the diabetes and all of the other ailments going to the hospital. If you're a frequent flyer in and out of the hospital, then your rate is going to go up. So
Right.
once they run that background and they do the underwriting part of your life insurance and they find out that you've been in the hospital more than 2 times in a year, then your rate's going to go up.
Yep.
Right.
So you'll look at a 30, 40-year old, even a 50-year old who has kept their BMI down, that is vigilant about their own health. Like you said, health is your wealth. How
Yes.
expensive are you? Do you even care what you're putting in your mouth? So after a while, you get to realize, okay, I can't have that extra alcohol, or I can't do whatever. I need to drink a little more water, have some more green stuff. And in our community, we like to not listen to what the doctor says do. So now we're on all these prescriptions trying to counteract. And the more prescriptions you're on, then that ups your insurance rate. And I just was talking to an insured a couple. The husband, he was 10 years older than the wife, and her policy was $50. Now she's up in her 40s. Hers was $50 a month, and his was 88. Well, he was a little thicker, and he, short, and your height is, your BMI is up there, and then he was on a couple of bullet meds and stuff. But other than that, his was like $80, and that was for a $30,000 final expense. So that's the big difference. That's $30. That's $30 difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
age plays a factor. Lock in now.
right. And it's interesting because y'all know I've been in the health and wellness space because that's I believe that health, wealth, freedom, and legacy. I believe in that. Okay. Wholeheartedly, because I feel like there are some things that when we talk about our God-given rights, right? what we were put here on this particular round to do and how we're supposed to be, we are supposed to be free. Okay. And what I mean
Mm.
by free is we're not supposed to be bound by debt because debt is a slave. Okay. So American Express, Visa, MasterCard, those are all slave masters,
Mm.
right? When we talk about legacy, what are we leaving behind, right? The Bible says in Proverbs 13 that we are to leave an inheritance for our children, right?
A good man.
So this is legacy, right? And then when we talk about health, health is wealth. I'm bring myself back down because I'm getting all excited talking about it. Y'all, if we only truly understood the power in just health is wealth. Okay. I
Mm.
don't care how much money you have. When you are sick, there is no amount of money that you can spend. Yes, you can spend the money to get better, but that doesn't mean you're going to
You're
get.
going to get better.
You understand what I'm saying? So when we talk about health, that is the mindset, that is the body, that is the mental capacity that we have to be able to say this is right and this is wrong. I'm eating burgers every day. That's wrong. I'm eating, exercising and doing right. That is right, right? And so everything is going to cost us. We know this. Everything is going to cost.
Count up the cost.
How much is it going to cost you to eat better now or suffer later?
Mm.
Right? We talk about the cost of food, but then we don't they say it costs more to eat healthy, but if you subtract the amount of money you spend every month for medication that's causing a disease or ailment, you could be eating healthy and not have to pay for the medication
Right.
Right.
And feel better.
and feel better. Same thing with when it comes to our insurance and being able to do this. If you sit down and you looked at how much you spend and actually looked at your budget, okay, because I work with people on that all the time. Sit down and write everything down and look at where you're spending. You make more than enough to be able to afford a policy with riders and whatever else for you and your family. You make enough. I promise you do. But
Absolutely.
we've gotten so comfortable with I gotta go to happy hour, I gotta go to brunch. And when I go to brunch, I gotta get a drink and I gotta do no, you do not. Because at some point, priorities have to kick in. And this is a priority. Y'all, this is a
This
priority.
is a
Yes, it
priority.
is.
This is like one of the biggest priorities that you have. This right here says I'm grown and I'm taking care and handling business. So I'm off my soapbox, y'all.
All right. All right.
Because again, when we talk about health, wealth, freedom, and legacy, health, wealth, wealth. Do you want to leave your family broke? Do we want to leave them with nothing? No, we don't. So it's important that we think about all of these things. So I'm done.
Yeah,
All right.
and like you said, leave your family with something, not a funeral bill. Because now that I have this, now somebody, whoever had the good credit in the family, got to go in together if they have a sibling or a family member that'll go in together and put themselves on the line and in debt, in a debt, should I say. And now they have a monthly bill if they didn't have it in full.
And you're not ruining
So
my 800 credit score. I'm sorry. You're not.
yeah, I mean, but that's disheartening to have to
Yeah.
do something like that. Now you're paying a bill for whoever, Aunt Susie and Uncle Jojo, didn't get a policy. Now we are paying this bill. So everybody else's vision of Uncle Jojo, he used to tell the jokes and he used to do whoop wop wop. But the person that's carrying them notes every month and paying out that funeral bill, they ain't feeling that way.
Mm-mm.
They ain't feel it, they ain't never gonna feel that way. And it's bad to have a whole life and then you're gonna end it on that note.
Mm.
That's not good.
No, because people won't remember you they won't remember any of that. They will just remember that you stuck them
With a
with
bad, yeah, with that debt.
because you was fly, you was cute, you had it all, you was there, but you didn't handle business. So We want you all to handle business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
let's do it the easy way. Let's do the easy thing. And that is put aside something for yourself. You deserve it.
You do.
You
Your
deserve to
family
go out
deserves
in a
it.
nice way.
yeah,
Yes. So the average cost of a funeral we discussed was $12,000 to $16,000 on average, and that's with all the extra feels. But with a final expense or a whole life or a term policy in place, not only will you be able to help your family alleviate a lot of the financial burden, you're going to feel so much better knowing that you're not going to leave them here stuck trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces um, that are being left behind, right? There's
Absolutely.
income that they're now going to have. That's one less person in the household. If there's children, now there's children who may not have another parent, right? So think about that. Any parting words, ladies, that y'all would
Yeah. So for the people who say that they have life insurance on their job, unless you know that you're going to pass away before you retire, you you should get life insurance. If you plan on retiring, because 65, 67, 70 is not the time to try to get, it's not the best time to get life insurance. Now you
like?
can go get it because I insure people that is older and they already know how expensive it is. They just go ahead and get it.
No.
And
Mm-hmm.
they're paying $130 a month when had they locked in their 40s and 30s and 40s and 50s, they could be paying a $50 policy until their policy is paid off
Mm-hmm.
with no increasing on the premium. So the time to lock in is now.
now,
Get
now,
additional life insurance outside of your job because you may not always have that job.
And we can see that every day. There's so many
every day.
workers that are laying off by the thousands. And I talk to people all the time who say, well, I have insurance through my company. Get it outside of your business. Okay. Please
Yeah,
get it outside because
yeah,
they only think you're worth $10,000, maybe $25,000 at the most. That's the most that they're going to put on you. That's not even enough to cover your salary
right.
No.
for a month, 2 months, a year. That's not even your yearly salary. So they don't even think enough to give your family at least 1 year worth.
Yes. You know, something else to think about is incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
When people are incarcerated, it is very difficult to insure them
Yep.
once they're incarcerated.
Yep.
And the sad thing is they're looked at as a risk.
Yep.
Mm,
They should be safe in the prison system, but they are not. So
Mm-hmm.
the insurance companies look at them as a risk, and most companies will not insure them.
Nope.
So having life insurance on the job, please don't get locked up or incarcerated. So that's just another something you can think about that you may not make it. We don't know, you
Right.
know. Life insurance is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So if we insure our cell phones because we're afraid we're going to drop them, we insure our refrigerators and our stoves and our expensive bags. We should insure ourselves.
Mm.
Our car even has insurance on it. So we should insure ourselves.
Starting with those babies. As soon as they come in the world and they 7 days old, put a policy on them.
yeah.
Speaking of that, Tim, that brings up a whole nother other situation. In our community, you know, I saw someone made a post the other day, and it is so true that if every Black person made sure that they
Mm-hmm.
had at least $50,000 policies on themselves,
Mm,
insurance companies would stop
Yep.
the brutal murdering in public
mm,
Mm-hmm.
themselves because they would be tired of paying it out. Stop killing the brown people, okay? It's
Yep.
costing us too much.
Yep. Yep.
So that's my parting words.
Yeah. Yep. That is so true. That is so true. Because that I could go into a whole nother rant on that one alone. But because being in law enforcement, I can tell you that is so true.
wow.
Because insurance companies, when they're gonna have to keep paying out, they will. they will put measures in place to make sure that they do not have to pay. I've worked in law enforcement and I've worked in special investigations and I work for insurance companies outside of life and health. And I can tell you that what you're saying is 100% correct because they will send people out to investigate any and everything about that before they send their money out because they you understand what I'm saying? So I know that's what they do. They
Mm-mm-mm.
will make sure to have it investigated to
Wow.
the full extent before they disperse any
Yeah.
money. Okay. So with that being said, to your point, yes, when we put when we insure ourselves and we see the value of ourselves, it forces other people to see the value of ourselves,
Yes.
right?
Tam. So that made me think Black Lives Matter. Then make
Mm-hmm.
it matter.
Yep.
If
Make
Black Lives Matter, get some life insurance.
right.
Mm.
Make it matter.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Make it matter. Make it matter. Michelle, what are your
That was a good one. That was a good one. Black Lives Matter. Then put your money where your mouth is
yes.
on your life. Whether your brown life, black life, white life, red, yellow, put it on
Whatever the
there.
spectrum.
Yes, put put
Put
put
it on your
something on
human
it.
life.
Yes. Yes. I agree. And I think my parting words for today is um don't let the cost be the barrier for you not at least reaching out to one of us to be able to help you get life or health insurance for your family. Because you never know how much it's going to cost until you ask, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times we assume that it's going to cost a lot of money, not knowing that there are so many options, so many companies, so many ways that we can assist you with getting life and health insurance. So, my plea to everyone who listens to this is to reach out to one of us. We will have our contact information posted on each of our individual posts. But this week, before no, I'm not even gonna say this week. Before 2026 get here, before 2026 gets here, I implore you to find out how much it's going to cost for more insurance. Y'all, we are one pandemic away. We are one strike away. We are one global phenomenon away from something happening. And God forbid that something happens to one of your family members and they are not covered. Just last week, we seen an airplane drop out of the sky.
Yeah.
And there's now 13 lives that have been lost and changed forever. And these
Yeah.
And some were on the ground. Most of those
Right.
people were on the
Most were
most of
on
ground.
the
them were on the
ground.
ground
Yeah.
doing, whatever their things were that they were doing. So we do not know the day or the hour. That has already been said. That is scripture. No man knows the day or the hour when I will come. But he is going to come. And when he comes to get any of us, when he comes down his flower patch and he decides to pick this beautiful flower or your beautiful flowers or whatever, we want to make sure that your family can sit back with a smile on their face and joy in their heart, knowing that you did right by them by purchasing life and health insurance. So that is my ask, because if not, I would hate to have to show up to your funeral and not be able to give your family a check. I want to come bearing gifts. Okay? Like they did Jesus when he was born. I want to come bearing gifts to your family. And so part of us being able to do that for you is to get some life insurance.
Absolutely.
Final expense, whole life.
Don't put it off. Don't delay.
Don't delay.
Do it today.
After the end of 2025 to call
Yes. Do it today because that's all we have is today.
today. Because tomorrow is not
Not
promised
promised.
at all. Cousins, this,
Bloop, bloop.
Hey, cousins.
this has been so join us next week when we come back for another great topic. And in the meantime, let everybody know how they can reach you, Michelle and Janelle.
Well, I'm Michelle Ford, and you can reach me. Just check my page. I usually post, but my number today is 918-260-9684. And if you have my number on 20 years ago, it's still the same.
Right.
That part.
And same here. You can inbox me. You can leave a message in my inbox, and I will get back to you.
And
Look
that is
forward to,
through, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yes, look forward to speaking to many people and helping them.
Yes, and that is through Facebook and or Instagram that you
Absolutely.
can reach them.
Thank you.
And you can also reach me here on Facebook. You can reach me on Instagram, and you can also reach out to me via YouTube if you guys are interested in learning more about life insurance, health insurance, and estate planning. I look forward to being able to assist you with that because it is time to change the narratives in our households, in our communities, and for ourselves. Cousins,
Cousins, until next week.
yes, this is my virtual hug for y'all. I love y'all so much. Thank you all. And we look forward to seeing you all again.
Yes, we
Hey,
do.
hey.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, y'all.